All right, looks like we're getting some more people in. So I'll go ahead and start the program. Good afternoon. Welcome to today's virtual art talk. How do you organize a virtual hoop dance competition? This program will feature a discussion with the Hoop Advisors, Dan Haggerty, our Director of Strategic Development and Programs, Dennis Bowen Sr., and one of our hoop judges, Charlene Bomberry. I'm Allison Lester, the Associate Director of Visitor and Member Engagement, and I'm coming to you live from the Heard Museum, where we sit on the traditional homelands of the Akmel Atam and the Halshadam Peeposh people. Today, they are our neighbors, friends, and partners. I do have a few housekeeping items before we jump into the program. Today's event is a webinar, which means you'll only see and hear from our panelists. And we do encourage you to chat with each other in the comment box. It is open. Just make sure you select everyone if you would like your comments to be seen by more than just me and the panelists. At the very end of the discussion, I'll come back to open the Q&A. At that time, please submit your questions. If you have any technical difficulties, you can call the membership helpline. I'm going to go ahead and drop that in the chat right after I close out on the screen, and our associate Christina Harris is able to help you with that. We also have a brief survey for you at the conclusion of the event. These have been incredibly valuable for us, and we've already been able to make some changes because of the comments you've sent us. And again, thank you so much for tuning in. Before we get into the program, I do want to mention a few more events coming up, both virtual and in person. This is our Member Appreciation Month. We have a lot of fun treats and events, and right now we do have a 20% off members or 20% off jewelry sale just for our members. That is going on through Sunday. We have extended shop hours this Friday, where the shop will be open until 6 p.m. And this weekend is our Member Appreciation Weekend, where we'll have live music by Rayon Palaquaptua and an ongoing screening of the virtual hoop dance competition in our Steel Auditorium starting at 11 o'clock. This will just be open to members, so you can come down and view it in person if you want to. Otherwise, it'll be on our Facebook page. And of course, you can come pick up your complimentary cookie and coffee in the cantina. I do also want to mention we'll have a student art pop-up on Sunday. They have some great new merchandise, so that'll be a fun time to come and support. And I'd also want to mention that this is the perfect time to come see Leon Polk Smith if you haven't already in person, and pick up the corresponding exhibition catalog. It is beautiful. You can even take advantage of your early morning hours at 9 a.m. And, of course, we'll have our extensive safety measures in place, including required masks for all visitors and staff, numerous sanitizing stations, and enforced social distancing. This is going to be a great discussion, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Dan. I do have the slide up again. This is inviting you to take advantage of the Facebook page, and Dan will kind of go through all the rest of the details. So with that, I turn it over to Dan, and I'll see everyone for the Q&A.
All right, well, thanks, Allison. Actually, Allison, if you don't mind, you can take the slide down, and then I'll kind of take over the slides when we go in and out of some. So hi, everybody. I want to thank you. Charlene, you can turn your camera on now if you're there. And Dennis, Charlene, we can all unmute. And it's my great pleasure to be here with our two panelists today who are representing a part of the team that was involved and still involved with developing our plans for a virtual hoop dance contest this year. If you're joining today, I'm guessing that maybe you might be one of our members who enjoys coming to the hoop dance contest every year. And if so, hopefully there's some familiar faces here today. I can tell you before I ask our panelists to introduce themselves, by way of just giving you a little background on me. I've been with the Heard Museum for just about 5 years now. I manage both our fundraising teams and also our public programs and event staff. And it is just such a joy to be a part of the Heard Museum. It really is a family, I feel. And I'm not just talking about the staff, but I'm talking about our partners like Charlene and Dennis. I'm talking about the artists that come every year and all throughout the year. And I'm certainly talking about our members as well. We're really all part of a team. And this has been a hard year for everyone. We're sending our prayers and to you and yours that you remain safe and healthy. And with that in mind, that's why we're talking about our virtual program today, our virtual event. So with that, I wanted to, again, just welcome our two panelists today. You can see them, of course, now, I guess, in duplicate on your screen. We have Dennis Bowen, and that's his beautiful wife, Alita. For those, again, that come to Hoop Dance every year, you have the joy of seeing Dennis and probably also his wonderful wife, who's very much a part of our team as well. And of course, we have Charlene Bomberry from Canada, who's, Charlene, I believe, 2020 was your first years as a judge at the Heard Museum contest, but we'll look forward to hearing about you and all of your other background in just a moment. So with that, actually what I'd love to do before we get into the dialogue is maybe Dennis, starting with you, and then Charlene, would you mind just introducing yourselves and tell a little bit about your history, connection with Hoop Dance, what else you do, and maybe where you're phoning in from, because we're all in different spots today. Dennis?
Good afternoon. My name's Dennis Bowen, Sr., and I'm speaking to you from the Allegheny Seneca Territory in Western New York. And our homeland is right on the New York-Pennsylvania line, south of Buffalo. And we have a lot of snow right now. And it's good to think of all of our friends, especially our Hoop Dance fans and friends in Arizona. You know, we're connected in many ways. And so about 20, maybe 24 years ago, our son worked for the Heard Museum in the education department, and we became familiar with some of the staff at that time. And we've been acquainted with the World Hoop Dance Championship for all 30 plus years. At the very first Hoop Dance World Championship at the Heard, the committee asked me to be a judge. And then the following year, I became the announcer, the master of ceremonies. And that's something that we've done now for 30 years. So there's a lot of real happy, positive history with the Heard Museum, the staff, all the hoop dancers, the singers that have come in, and of course the hoop dance fans. And we've seen the fan base grow through the years, and it's a great event. Many of you on this program that are watching, you've been there in person, and it's quite an event. But we're glad to be on this program today. Let's hear from Charlene and have questions and answers and have a great time today.
Well, hello, good afternoon. I'm Charlene Bomberry, and I am located at Six Nations of the Grand River Territory in Ontario, Canada. And we are, I don't know, probably on a good day, we're about an hour south of Toronto. On a bad day, we're probably like 2 hours south of Toronto. And we're near Niagara Falls, like we're kind of in the middle of all the hubbub of Ontario. I'm from the Onondaga Nation and the Deer Clan. Currently, I work for the local police, not a police officer, working in admin. Somebody's got to keep them straight, right? And I've been involved in powwows for over 40 years now. And I've been to the Heard quite a few times to the hoop dance contest. And I was there in 2019, the last time. And then last year, I was asked to be a judge. So this is my second year judging the hoop dance contest, and it's been quite the experience. Enjoyable.
Well, thank you, Charlene, and thank you, Dennis. So we're going to hear more about this year's planning in just a few minutes. But I thought it might be worth a couple of minutes of our program today to Dennis to invite you to, if you would, just talk a little bit about the hoop dance contest as a whole, the history of it, maybe some of the background, and while you're doing that, I'm just going to share a few images from past contests. But Dennis, do you mind just offering to our viewers some of that background, especially for those who maybe some are new to the contest? So we'd love to hear you offer a little overview, if you would.
Okay. Charlene reminded me to introduce myself completely. And I'm a member of the Seneca Nation. And my clan is the Bear Clan. We are matrilineal, like many nations. My father's clan is on the bird side of our clan structure, clan system. And my dad's clan is the snipe clan. And my wife is Danesh. She's from Kaibito, which is south of Page, Arizona. And her clan is Bipatwoni, the Deer Spring or Deerwater people. And so they have 4 clans to keep track of. But we've lived in Arizona 42 years. And after retiring about 7.5 years ago, we've been back here in Western New York on the Allegheny Seneca homeland. And the hoop dance history, one way to begin to put it in perspective is that there's well over 650, some call them Indian nations or indigenous nations in what is the United States. And then maybe another 500-600 north of the line in Canada. And then another maybe 400 in Central America that are indigenous nations as well. In Arizona, the Tohono O'odham people have some of their nation relatives in Old Mexico over there in Arizona on the border. So as the original people of this land, we are related, connected from above the Arctic Circle all the way down to in the South America, basically. So that's a connection that's important when you think of the hoop dance. And so we have nations that tell us that they have their own origin of how the hoop dance was given to them. And so the hoop dance that we see at the Heard Museum, we have some of the elderly that have talked to us about how in the Southwest, some of these nations, they have the hoop dance as part of a healing ceremony. And when we think of a healing ceremony, we think of not just the physical health and the healing of a physical problem, but there's also the psychological side, the mental side, and there's also the spiritual side of life. And so in that larger holistic thinking, this healing dance is to restore people to wellness again. And as they get restored, it lifts up their spirit. It lifts up their daily life, their daily health. And so many of our hoop dancers who've been to the Heard Museum, after you see the tiny tots dance, the youth, then the teens dance, and then the adults and the seniors, you feel lifted up. I mean, they will energize you and you listen to the songs. We can't have a dance without our traditional singers. Our singers do their responsible role to make this dance possible. So with the singing and the dancing, it really does lift people up. And the World Hoop Dance Championship that we see at the Heard Museum, it began with a good friend. He's an elder now. His name is Ralph Zotai, and he's from the Kiowa Nation. And the Kiowa Nation is in Oklahoma. His son is a hoop dancer, Dennis Zotai. And they wanted to organize a hoop dance contest at the New Mexico State Fair in Albuquerque. And they wanted to honor a well-known Pueblo hoop dancer who made hoop dancing famous all across Turtle Island, what we call the United States. And this hoop dancer, his name was Tony Whitecloud. And this was back in the 1940s. And so they put on that first hoop dance contest, and they wanted to continue. They had a good response from people that came to see it, but it was a difficult, it was a challenge to find sponsorship to continue this. And in the process, they contacted the Heard Museum, and the Heard says, yes, we would be happy to work with you. And so the hoop dance moved to the Heard Museum, I believe in 1990, 91 maybe, but over 30 years ago. And we named it the World Hoop Dance Championship. And in the process, we had one hoop dancer come out who was already elderly. And he is a traditional Dene or Navajo. Some people call him traditional practitioner. He is part of the healing community, or healing helpers. Some people call them medicine men. And he came to the World Hoop Dance Championship and danced. And he impressed many of our hoop dancers who had learned some of the basic hoop dance formations and hoop dance designs. And he incorporated the traditional hoop dance designs from the healing ceremony that is still being done to help people to restore them to wellness, to health. And so we think of this hoop dance as a healing dance. And it's gone on for, over 30 years now at the Heard Museum there. And it's become very, very popular, and people have come, especially our friends who come from the north in the wintertime. And people call them snowbirds, but we call them hoop dance relatives. They are hoop dance fans, but we have a lot of people that come and enjoy the World Hoop Dance Championship every year. We've had the very first time we had it at the Heard Museum, we only had 7 hoop dancers, and they were all men, young men. And within a year or two, we had some women that registered and began to dance. And the Heard Museum staff, they met with the judges and the people that helped to put on the hoop dance. And they said, should we have a contest for women and for also the one for the men? And we said, let's ask the women hoop dancers. And the women hoop dancers says, no, we want to dance together. And we'll show them that we can hoop dance as women. And we've seen 2 women champions, one who is now on a board of trustees for the Heard Museum. And she won a world title. And her name is Ginger. And we're very thankful and proud of Ginger. The next one was Lisa Oji, and she's from Ontario, Canada. And so the women have shown that they can dance and bring their own, we call it telling a story. When they hoop dance, they tell their story of the hoop dance with their hoop dance formations. And we've had women champions within the first 4 and 5 years of the World Championships. And it's just brought in so much support, especially when we added the tiny tot hoop dancing. And people love to see the grandchildren dance, the little grandchildren who've just learned how to walk and they're already hoop dancing. And we've had,
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I wanted to make sure that viewers knew also, if you can see on your screen, Lisa Ojig is pictured on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
And she was an adult world champion twice going. So which
Yeah.
is really remarkable. So sorry to interrupt, Dennis. I just wanted to make sure folks recognized Lisa.
Yeah, and there are probably on this call today, there are people who are Lisa Ojic fans already, so they recognize Lisa's picture. And it means a lot to be honored and recognized as a world champion, whether you're in the youth division, the teen division, the senior division, the older dancers, or the feature, the premier group is the adult division. They are the most, skilled and flashy hoop dancers and very popular in the adult division. And the adult hoop dance champions have gotten to travel internationally to Europe, down through the Pacific, to the Philippines, to Taiwan. They've danced, across the ocean. And that's what hoop dance has done for them. And they've carried this good message of healing. And so when the pandemic hit Mother Earth, and it hit every continent, and people begin to suffer and be killed by this pandemic, there were no public events for our hoop dancers to dance at. A lot of them perform at their local schools for the children, for high schools. They perform for community events, and some of them get hired to hoop dance, and they help feed their family. And so with the pandemic, there were no public events. And as we came into early summer, with Dan here on staff at the Herd, Dan Haggerty, and then we had Sue Pappas, who has been a volunteer, and she's also been a part of the Herd Museum Guild and the Guild Market and Fair in March. Her organizational skills, we got together and we said, our hoop dancers are out there isolated because of the pandemic, and there's no public events. And that's impacted the world. People have lost jobs. People have been laid off. People have a hard time paying their rent, paying their mortgage for their home. And it's impacted the economy in many ways. And that includes our hoop dancers. And we said, well, let's help our hoop dancers. And we came up with an idea to have a virtual hoop dance contest. And then during the summer, in July, and this is a dancer who's a world-class hoop dancer. His name's Eric Hernandez. Eric has the technology, the skills to produce a video. And so he collected videos from different hoop dancers, and he put together a short hoop dance video that was shown this summer. And we saw that and we said, let's work with Eric. And Eric has attended the World Championships as well. And so he's, this hoop dance family is big. And so Eric became part of the team. So from a late summer discussion with Sue, Dan, and myself, we began to work with Eric.
Dennis,
by October. Yeah.
Sorry, Dennis. If I might, if you don't mind, I want to also I've got a slide here, and I wanted to go into our work with Eric. But first, I thought I also wanted to call out our other advisors, and I've got an image here. You mentioned Ginger. Ginger is there on the right. Ginger Sykes Torres. Ginger, as you mentioned, Dennis, is a member of the Herd Museum Board of Trustees. Ginger's Dana, and her daughter and her daughter competed this year in the youth division, and her other two kids competed in our Tiny Tots division. So when everyone here watches the program, you'll see Ginger's beautiful kids. Also with our advisor team, really as Dennis was saying, what we wanted to do, we knew that we wanted to do something but quite frankly, we weren't exactly sure what to do. We knew we had to do something virtual. It was very apparent given what was happening in the world. So that's the reason, as Dennis mentioned, that we thought, Dennis and Sue and myself as a small working team knew that we needed other voices to really flesh out what this could be. So on the screen here, you see our advisors. As I mentioned, Ginger is there on the right. Sue Pappas is on the lower left corner. Sue, many of you may know as a longtime volunteer for the Heard Museum, and Sue has been very, very involved in cultural programming for the fair and hoop dance contests for many years. In the top left of your screen, another advisor of ours, dear friend of, I think, pretty much everyone I've come across in the hoop community knows and loves, Munti Sinqua. That photo is actually from last year's contest. Munti took the senior division championship title, and he'll be back to defend it this year. So you'll see that on Saturday as well. And then rounding out our advisor group, we had Steve Lawrence. And again, many of you may know Steve, his wife, Marion. They're accomplished artists. They come down to show in the shop from time to time at the Heard Museum. And they're very, very involved in the hoop community in their communities in New Mexico. Steve and Marion, along with the Rivera family, started a foundation called the Lightning Boy Foundation in honor of a young dancer, Valentino, who was tragically killed in a car accident a number of years ago. And Steve and Marion also are, of course, the parents of several hoop dancers, including one of our past champions, Nakota Lawrence, who sadly passed away this past summer. And we'll do in the program, when you watch on Saturday, we'll have a tribute to Nakota, his life and his legacy as a teacher and an artist. So we want to just really thank our advisors. As Dennis was saying, working with them was very important to us to help understand kind of what we could do, how we could do it. And then Dennis, I also have a photo here to share with folks. This is Eric Hernandez that Dennis was talking about. As Dennis said, Eric is a member of the hoop community. He's competed, I believe, 6 times in the hoop dance contest at the Heard Museum. For the last 8 years, Eric has been on tour with Cirque du Soleil's show Totem, performing hoop dance alongside other competitors and dancers who you may know, including Nakota Lawrence's sister, Shondine, whose stage name is Sanway. And Eric is not only, of course, a gifted artist and dancer, but also has gained a lot of attention in the last few years for his work on social media. He started a very popular social media group on Instagram and called Cirque Life, riffing on the Cirque du Soleil team. So it's worth, if you have Instagram, check out Cirque Life because it's fun. It's fun to see. They haven't been doing a lot of content since the pandemic, but there's tons of interesting stuff, backstage footage from Cirque du Soleil there. So Eric's really a great, young, talented filmmaker, and we were very excited to bring him on to the team. So Dennis, I'll throw it back to you, but I just wanted to offer those the shout outs to our advisors, right, and to the team itself.
And at the moment where we did bring in the rest of the advisory committee, it was Sue, Dan, and myself, and we had ideas. We had questions of how to solve some things. When the advisory committee, when they came on, they brought fresh ideas and a fresh energy. And as a good friend, an elder that has his favorite saying, it's all done with people. And it takes people to make this happen. And we were so happy. When you see this production Saturday, you're gonna see the beauty of what Eric and the advisory committee and our hoop dancers and our judges have been a part of to put this together for you. And it has, and many of you who've been there live at the World Championships, you got to be there live, and you feel just the electricity of that energy of the World Championship. But we can kind of get close to that when you watch this video. It brings you that feeling of, man, did you see that design? Did you see that move? And some of them are children, and they're learning how to hoop dance. And so we're very, it's like, we're very respectful, and we're, in our traditional thought and traditional teachings, we don't put an emphasis on being proud. We say we have such a happy respect for what you're going to see. We have a happy energy for what you're going to see, and we're fired up, and we're glad that we've produced this program you're going to see this Saturday, and this is the conclusion of what began this past summer, and it all takes people. So,
Dennis, so if
Yeah.
you don't mind, I thought what I would do here is as we get into some of the logistical nuts and bolts, I thought I would walk through for viewers really quickly some broad overviews of how that all worked, how it came together from summer to today. And leading into, of course, hearing from Charlene about the judging process. So if you don't mind, Dennis, I'm going to walk through a few slides to give viewers
Sure.
a little bit of that story. And Dennis, Charlene, both feel free to jump in at any point. What I just thought I would do to, again, give folks a sense of how this came together was, and again, as Dennis said, working with our advisors was critical. And really, when we came together, we started having weekly meetings, telephonic meetings with our advisors in the fall. And that really, when we came together, the first decision was, we really talked through, do we want to do a contest? Do we want to do a virtual program or not? And everyone agreed that, as Dennis was sharing, this community is so important to the Heard Museum. The community is such a tight-knit community. We knew that we had to do something to keep the momentum and spirit of this going. So that began many weeks of logistical challenges and working through them. So I'll share some of those now. One of the things that was happening really from the get-go when we decided to do this was, of course, fundraising, which is an important part of this. We wanted to have this event, the expenses covered. That's an important thing at the Heard Museum right now, especially given where everything is in the world. So we were really pleased to get a good group of sponsors together. We've covered all of our cash prize monies and then some. Arizona Public Service, 2 individual donors, Ted and Mary Jo Shen, the Lightning Boy Foundation, the Kellogg Safeway Foundation, and the J. Kahn Memorial Endowment and the Robert and Von Cowie Endowment have all supported this project. We're so grateful to them. So going into, I'm going to go through this quickly because it's a little nuts and bolts, but I think it's always kind of interesting to hear. So one thing that we started when the first place we really started in trying to figure out how and what we could do was the rules. And I know that's a boring place to start, but so that everyone knows, typically on a typical year, our rules for the contest for the in-person event are about 4 pages long. We went through a very rigorous review process of the rules with both advisors, with some of the artists, and also with legal counsel. And it ended up being a 9-page document. I really felt pains for our dancers who had to wade through it. But the reason the reason I'm sharing this is I found it pretty interesting. We realized as we went into this that with the in-person contest, there are obviously considerations to take, but online, in the world of online engagement, there are so many important rules and guidelines, especially when young people are involved in something online. So working with attorneys, we really added as much clarity as we could in order to make sure that the youths in particular who participate in the program were protected. And adding to that, and Charlene, you and your peers up north, in addition to really adding language and considerations for the young people involved and making sure that they were protected and safe, we also had, because this is an international contest, United States and America, we had to send this up also to Canadian folks to review and take a look at that as well, to make sure that everything was in line and good to go from a legal perspective. As pedantic as that is, that really helped inform a lot of the structure of the program that you'll end up seeing and how we rolled the contest out. The next piece that was really, really tricky was music, because when we do the in-person contest, the way we organize it is we have two drumming groups. One drum group does drumming and singing in the northern style. The other drum group does their music in the southern style. And the two gentlemen pictured here are the leaders of our drum groups. On the left is Kenneth Kozad Jr. Kenny's been involved for many, 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 many years at the event. On the right is Rion Poliquaptua. Rion has been leading a drum group for the last 2 years, but anyone at the Herd probably knows Rion pretty well from his work as a carver, a Hopi carver, and also a singer, a musician. He does a lot of cultural work at the Herd Museum. So we realized that what we couldn't have happen was dancers submitting their videos with pre-recorded music or something where we would have an issue with rights and clearances. So we worked pretty quickly with Ken and Rion, who both in their home studios worked out music, different tempos, different timings for our dancers. They sent them to us electronically, and we were able to provide those for dancers who needed. Some dancers, and you'll see this on the video, some dancers have access to their own musicians, and so they were able to use that when they recorded their performance, but many don't. And so we wanted to make that possible for them. So that was an interesting challenge, but it was fun to work through it. Then, of course, we had to get the word out to dancers. So these are just a few of the graphics. Eric Hernandez did these. We just kept pushing word out to our dance community through Facebook, through email, word of mouth. We just really, really worked hard to try to get dancers to be engaged with this. And as it turns out, of course, they were very engaged. We had 90 dancers register. They had a period of time after they registered to submit their video. We were anxious, not sure how many videos would actually come in, but we had just over 80 videos that were received. And so we were just thrilled. You'll get to see them, or at least scenes from them in the program that you'll see on Saturday. And then finally, of course, we needed to start getting the word out to the public as well. And I'm gonna pause here for 30 seconds. I wanna share a short promotional video that Eric Hernandez did to give you a sense of hopefully some of what we'll see coming this weekend. Video doesn't work great on Zoom, but this is only 30 seconds, so bear with me. If this doesn't work on your screen, we'll be right back. But I wanted to share this because it's a beautiful little promo. So let's take a look.
I'd like to welcome you to the world of hoop dance. These hoop dancers are dancing for healing. They're dancing for protection. And this is for all of our families, all of our people.
So that gives you a sense of some of the work that Eric has done around the program as well. So with that, I want to keep moving, and I want to get to Charlene because we love hearing from our judges, and we want to hear about that. So in short, we put a lot of these pieces in motion in the fall going into the winter. The deadline for submitting a video was January 11th, and from there, we just got to enjoy seeing these videos, and then we organized them for judging. So what I'm going to do is just share a few screen caps from some of the videos just to give you a sense of what you'll see this Saturday, this weekend when we premiere the program. The backgrounds were, in some cases, people were in their living rooms, some were in a stage, but many dancers performed where they were. And you can see the range here. We've got a dancer from Hawaii. There's a young woman here, conversely, with snow in the background. There's Tony Duncan, who so many of us know and love, and with a beautiful setting for his video. A few more as well. You just see these incredible scenescapes that people will enjoy. And I think that's something really unusual that we don't necessarily get to experience with the in-person event. So we're excited for that. So lastly, as we're kind of rounding out the process here, I want to get back to Charlene and talk about the judging and how that worked. So Charlene, bringing it to you here for a minute, if you could, can you just talk about kind of what that was like? Well, you know, maybe tell our viewers, if you could, about sort of how the judging worked and what your experience was as a judge doing it virtually as opposed to in person.
Okay, so last year I was able to be there in person and judge, and that was my first time judging at the hoop dance contest. And it was pretty exciting, seeing all of the live performances. And then this came up this year, and it was different, but it was good too. I mean, both ways have their pros and cons, I guess. I know when you're watching the live performances, it's so exciting because they're like right there, and you're just like a few feet away from them. And I found that one of the differences, I guess the main difference is because doing this virtually, we were able to see each individual dancer one at a time. And when we were live last year, because there were so many and with time constraints and all of that, we had to do some of the contestants in groups. So there was like 2 or 3 dancers in a group, and we had to judge them all at the same time. And that was kind of nerve-wracking, I guess. But in this instance, doing it virtually, we looked at each one individually. And thanks to Dan and his crew, they came up with the ballots, which were easy to use, because it was all set out for us, and we just had to watch the videos and judge the dancers on their individual performance, and it was easier to not I don't know what you would call it, like compare to another dancer. You got to judge them on their individual performance rather than trying to watch 3 of them at the same time. So I found that was really worked out well. And the whole process itself, yeah.
Did you notice, you know, any differences when you're judging in person versus virtually? Did you notice things that perhaps online or virtual experience that maybe you didn't, that don't always appear when you're judging in person with all the, you know, sort of hubbub around that? Or, you know, how were there better things or things you enjoyed more, or and if the answer is no, I'd rather be in person, we understand that too. But I'm just curious about if you noticed different things as you did it this way this year.
Well, of course, I'd rather be there in person, but yeah, one of the things I noticed with doing it virtually, watching the individual videos, is I could really pay attention to what they were doing, the different formations they did and how they did it, and the transitions in between their designs and how they did it, and how unique all of them are in how they put together their routines and everything. So I was able to pay more attention to that kind of thing, whereas live and it seems like it goes faster when you're there live, whereas when we were doing it individually here on a video, you could pay more attention to the dancer. That's how I saw it anyway. And it was I really enjoyed it, and the way it was put together, and how we were able to just sit here and watch each individual dancer. So I
wanted to share also, go back to this slide here real quick to Charlene, to to share with folks how we organize that. And I will. You're very kind to offer nice words to me, but I can take no credit. I have to give credit where credit is due. And Eric Hernandez and also Megan Coleman on the Herd staff really worked. The three of us talked, but they were really knowledgeable about some of this online technology. So when you look at the screen here, this is a little bit of a screen capture from one of our judging days. And we did it on Facebook. We were able to set up there's something called Facebook Rooms. You can set up a private room, and apparently, or as it turned out, and we were happy this turned out to be true, it's pretty easy to share video in this Facebook room format. It's not as, video is not as easy on Zoom or things like that, but it worked really well. And here you see in the bottom right, you've got Charlene. We have Tom Phillips, who's next to her on the left, Preston Tonahope, who's next to me up on above. That was our second day of judging. The first day of judging, we split it into 2 days, and we had 2 different groups of judges. Charlene judged both days. We were very grateful for that. And on the first day, Charlene was joined by Eddie Swimmer, who was the very first champion of the hoop dance contest, and also Eric Mamalito Jr. And Eric is well known to many people also in the community and those who attend the contest as our arena director. So this year we didn't have an arena to direct, so Eric was able to step in and judge for the first day. Sorry to interrupt, Charlene, but I wanted to give a sense of how that was structured. One question I have for you, Charlene, and really for both of you is, and it kind of builds on what you were just sharing, Charlene, about the experience of doing this online. I found myself really enjoying the same thing, Charlene, that you were talking about, which is you just really got to focus on the dancers. And of course, that's a good thing, especially when you're judging. But the audience, when we have our contest in person, we tend to draw about 4,000 people in person over the weekend. A little more than 1,500 per day is usually what we attract. And it was easier to focus in a way, at least for me, because without the kids running around and the applause and the shouting and all of that. So talk about that. I missed it, but it did, as you said, kind of give you a different perspective on it. Can you talk about what that perspective for you, Charlene, was like, without the audience, and how that impacted your experience?
Yeah, it was quiet. Usually, when we're there live, the audience is enjoying all of the dancing as well, and they're always cheering on the dancers, and you can certainly tell which dancers that they like, the audience likes, by their responses, their cheering and clapping and everything like that. But yeah, it was different, yes, but also it was also very, very good. And I think one of the things I was thinking about was one of the things that I missed being there live is, like, in all my travels as a powwow participant, a lot of the dancers that were there in the hoop contest, I already knew a lot of them. A lot of them were already my friends just from the traveling the powwow circuit. So that's one of the things that me as an individual miss being there live, is visiting with a lot of old friends, even in the Phoenix area. Like, I have friends in the Phoenix area too. So yeah, it's a lot of visiting and catching up with people and friends.
Well, so we're going to hope and pray that 2022 lets us do that again. And I think we've got some questions coming in. So before we do, I just want to do one more thing, and then we'll be happy to Allison can walk us through any questions that have come. But I wanted to share my screen one more time here and just offer a suggestion for those that, and again, I am the first to admit being technologically challenged, but So again, this Saturday, it will air on, it will stream premiere, the stream will premiere, the show will premiere on the Heard Museum's Facebook and YouTube channels starting at 11 a.m. Arizona time. And you can watch from anywhere. You can let your friends and family know. If we're going to make it available free to the public for the premiere weekend. Once the show screens once through, starting at 11 a.m., you can then go back after the premiere ends. You can go back and watch it from start to finish. You can fast forward, you can rewind, whatever you want to do once it airs the first time. So it'll be available on both Facebook and YouTube. And so you can check it out, all weekend long if you want. I want to really suggest that if you have a smart TV, that is the best way to watch it. I have a few notes here on how to do that, but if anyone, if you've got a smart TV, and by smart TV, what I mean is the kind of TV where if you push the home button or whatever, you see the apps, Netflix, Disney Plus, whatever it is. Well, YouTube, if you have the YouTube app on your television, you're going to enjoy watching it on your TV a lot more than your computer screen. So all you need to do is open that app on your smart TV, the YouTube app, search for Heard Museum. It'll take you right to our YouTube page and you'll be able to find it from there. Again, starting at 11 a.m. on Saturday, Arizona time. And I always like to say, if you can't figure out how to get it on your smart TV, ask a young person, because I can tell you my stepdaughter always knows how to fix our our technology. So that's how I do it. Anyway, so with that, Allison, I'm going to throw it back or I'll stop my share here. And I think we might have a couple of questions.
And yeah, I think the first question that I have here, while everybody's kind of submitting any that they have, like I said, you can do it in the comment box or in the Q&A. Those are all either at the bottom or the side of your screen. But the first question I have is, have any of the judges judged any online powwows?
I haven't judged any online, but I've watched some. We had I think there's on Facebook, there's a couple of Facebook groups that have contests. I can't remember their names offhand. Social Distance Powwow, I think there's one. And there was one, but I haven't seen anything from them lately. That was a 2020 quarantine dance specials or something like that. And different people, different individuals throughout the country, Canada and the United States, would sponsor contests and people could submit online. My powwow committee, the Grand River Powwow at Six Nations, we had a virtual contest, but we just did it on our own Facebook page, and we opened it up to, ours was to honor the seniors, the golden age dancers. So our contest was for one for the men, one for the women, and it was for 65 years and older. And we picked other judges to judge for us. The committee itself didn't do any of the judging. One thing I wanted to mention, though, that I forgot to mention when I was talking about judging the hoop dance, is that one of the things is we all had to remember that it is a dance contest. So a lot of the times I also found myself watching their feet and making sure that they were, yes, dancing. Yes, part of it is the hoop formation and all of that, but they also needed to be dancing and keeping in time with the music. So that's it.
Dennis, I know that you had that Gathering of Nations did some online work as well, or what else are you seeing online in terms of the powwow and hoop communities?
There were a number of online powwows throughout the fall and early winter. And as Charlene was sharing, they weren't done by an organization or done by a larger group like the Heard Museum. It was some adults, whether it was a married couple with friends or 2 or 3 friends from different geographical parts of the United States that got together. But they were very energetic, but they were small projects that happened. And you got to see your friends. And like Charlene was saying, you can see a dancer from Oregon, from Montana, from Ontario or Manitoba, and you know them. And so it was a happy feeling. So what the herd has done is something that was more structured and just as far-reaching, if not a little more far-reaching, because these dancers made an effort to get their videos in. And you know, we had 80 dancers, and like say, if we did this again, we'd probably have 150 easily, because they get energized by this. So this is it was a great event that we're going to see this Saturday. Just like the World Championship, there's no other event like the World Championship. There's no other event like this Saturday, Hoop Dance virtual. So way to go, you know.
We're getting a lot of really nice comments about how much work and effort that everybody has put into this. And I think everybody is really looking forward to seeing that. Dan, maybe if you want to talk a little bit about viewers' choice, this is the last day to submit your vote.
Yeah, I completely spaced out on that. So absolutely. So this year, because of the nature of the virtual contest, we were able to try something new called, we're starting what's called a Viewer's Choice Award. So in each age division, youth, teen, adult, and senior, we have now posted every single one of the dancer videos on our on our YouTube page, on the Herd's YouTube page. And whichever videos in each age division gets the most likes, that person will be deemed the viewer's choice, and they'll receive a $250 prize. Now that's of course separate from the judging prizes. And I will say that in total, thanks to our sponsors, we're able to give out $11,000 in total prizes to all of the winners. I think that the top prize is the adult category. So the winner of that division gets $2,500, and the top 3 placers in each division will win a cash prize, plus the Viewer's Choice Award. And I think I saw Allison just posted in the chat a link to the Herd Museum's YouTube playlist page or YouTube page, where you can find those videos. So if you go to the YouTube page for Herd Museum, click on playlists, and then you'll see each age division has all of the videos in that age division available. And you can watch each and every one of them and click on like for the ones you like the most, because you can help them win some money. So, and that closes today. Tonight at 11:59 p.m. Arizona time, we'll shut that voting off. So please get your votes in, and it's a great way to get a sense of some of the beautiful videos that we saw. We won't, we can't play every single video from start to finish, of course. So what Eric is trying to do is get as many clips in of our dancers as possible. But if you go to the YouTube channel, you'll be able to see each and every one of them in full.
Yeah, and I'll add to that you'll really be able to see some of the really wonderful backdrops that a lot of the dancers put themselves in. And it's a great way to go and watch all those. So like I said, I dropped the link in the comments. You can also find it, I believe, on our Herd Museum event page for Hoop. And there's 4 playlists. It'll be the first 4 playlists. Go and watch. And then when you like a video, just like it, and that'll be considered for voting. So I think that's about it. This webinar it is being recorded, so you'll be able to watch it again or send it to anybody. This will be up on that YouTube channel. You can see another playlist for all of our virtual art talks in about a week or so. So definitely thank you all for taking a part. It's been great to hear from the both of you, Dennis and Charlene, and just what a monumental undertaking. And I'm so excited to see who's the champion and just see all the videos put together this weekend.
Hey, and Yama for inviting me to participate. And I think one of the things too I think anyway, that we should point out is we as the judges, we don't know who the winners are either. We learn who the winners are at the same time as the rest of the world.
It'll be exciting. Well, Dennis, Charlene, thank you so much. Allison, thank you. Thanks to our members and everybody. Tune in on Saturday to, as Charlene said, you're going to find out the same time we do. So we'll be excited to hear that news, and we'll see you all soon.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Now
Good job, Allison.